Hello English learners, and welcome to another episode of English Lessons with Grammar Man, coming to you from Progressive English, the language school in Zurich, Switzerland. In this video, I'm going to talk about three of the smallest words in English, which also happen to be three of the most commonly used words in English. They are in just about every sentence, so it's very important that we know the rules regarding how to use these words correctly. Of course, you've read the thumbnail and you know that I'm referring to articles. Now, we have three options when using articles. We can use the indefinite article, which is a or an. I'll count this as one option. We can have the definite article, the, and we have no article. We can omit the article. So what do articles actually do? In essence, articles give us more information about a noun or noun phrase by determining whether we are talking about a specific noun or a noun in general. For example, I want to buy a car. In this case, we have used the indefinite article, a, which means I want to buy any car. Not a specific car, just a car in general. I haven't decided which car, but I know I want a car. But if I said I want to buy the car, this would mean a specific car. Maybe I looked at a car earlier that day and I've decided that I really liked it and I want to buy that specific car. Then we would say I want to buy the car. I want to buy the car that I looked at today. And an example sentence with no article. I could say, I like cars. This sentence means that I like cars in general. Not a specific car, not a specific type of car, just cars in general. So fundamentally, we use a and an. We call this the indefinite article, and no article with nouns that are not specific, for things in general. And we use the definite article, which is the word the, with nouns that are specific, when we refer to a specific item, person or place. That is the absolute broadest definition of what articles are. Now let's dive in and learn the specific rules so that we can always use articles perfectly. Let's start with a and an. These are called indefinite articles. Indefinite means not defined. We are talking in general, not specific. We use indefinite articles with singular countable nouns that are not specific, or when they are mentioned for the first time. Remember, a countable noun is just a noun that can be counted. For example, one dog, two dogs. One car, two cars. An uncountable noun example, butter. I want to put some butter on my bread. Not, I want to put two butters on my bread. You can't count butter because it's an uncountable noun. So an example using the first rule. I have a blue car. The noun car is a singular countable noun and it's the first time I've mentioned it. So it fits the rule. Could I say I have an blue car? No, definitely not. So let's quickly get the difference between a and an cleared up. It's a very simple rule. Use a before a consonant sound and an before a vowel sound. It's not about how the word is spelt. That's very important. It's about how it is pronounced, how we say the word. For example, he is a 1-year-old boy. Even though the word following the article starts with the vowel O, the sound is W, which is a consonant sound, one. So we say a 1-year-old boy. An example using an, we could say I have an apple. Apple has an A sound, which is a vowel sound. So we use an. And one final example, I have an MP3 player. Here we have the consonant letter M, but the sound is E, which is a vowel sound, so we use an. And one little bonus tip, the word the can also be pronounced the. Although this rule is not as strict as the a versus an rule, it's actually more of a guideline. Whereas a versus an, that rule must be adhered to. If a word following the article starts with a vowel sound, we should say the. So the apple, the MP3 player. when the word following the article is a consonant sound, we use the dog, the man, the university. Now I don't always follow this guideline, but if you are wondering what the difference is between the and the, now you know. Okay, so where were we? The indefinite article is used before singular countable nouns that are not specific. We also use the indefinite article before job titles. He is a mechanic, she is a doctor, I am an English teacher. But these also fit rule 1, don't they? Mechanic, doctor, English teacher, all singular countable nouns. And we can also use the indefinite article to mean the number 1. I have a nephew. This means I have one nephew. Okay, now let's compare with the definite article, the. Definite means defined. So we use the when we refer to something that is defined, something specific. And this specific item can be singular, plural, or uncountable. So I gave you an example in the singular already. I said, I want to buy the car that I looked at earlier today. The specific car. In the plural, maybe I'm really rich or I'm dreaming, I could say, I want to buy all the cars that I saw today. Okay, that's a clear contrast to the indefinite articles, isn't it? Because we cannot use a or an with plurals. And an uncountable noun example, can you pass me the salt please? Salt is an uncountable noun. And maybe you're at lunch and there is a grinder of salt on the table. And you would like your friend to pass you that specific salt. You would say, can you pass the salt please? So we can also use the with uncountable nouns, unlike the indefinite article. That's another clear distinction. You cannot, or more accurately 99 times out of 100, you don't use a or an with uncountable nouns. Instead, you must use the definite article, the, if you are referring to a specific uncountable noun. In this case, the salt on the table. And in other cases, when we are speaking about an uncountable noun, but in general, we use no article, which I will talk about in just a moment. The time we use the indefinite articles, a or an, before uncountable nouns is when we refer to a certain type of an uncountable noun. For example, she has a healthy respect for danger. A little knowledge goes a long way. Now, another way that we use the definite article is to refer to something that has been mentioned before, something that the reader or listener already knows about. For example, can you go to the shop and buy some bread? Okay, my wife might say this to me and she means the shop that we always go to, the specific shop that I already know. If my wife says, can you go to our shop and buy some bread? This would mean any shop. Now she might say this to me if we are traveling, for example. So, because then we don't have a specific shop that we normally go to, my wife wants me to find any shop and buy some bread. And rule 3 with the definite article. Use it when there is only one of something. I was born in the 80s. The 80s means between 1980 and 1989, the 1980s, and there is only one 1980s, so we use the. Now rule 3 also covers the next rule, which is we use the before superlative adjectives. Remember, superlative adjectives express that the person or thing being described has more of a particular quality than anything or anyone else of the same type. So biggest, longest, tallest, best, these are all superlative adjectives. And we use the before superlative adjectives. It's the biggest house in the street. He owns all the most expensive buildings in the city. He is the tallest person I know. Okay? Now there are quite a few more rules with the definite article, the, but these are the main ones, the foundation. But what I would like to do now is talk about when we use no article and compare it to the indefinite and definite articles, because this is where many people have difficulties. Now we omit the article Omit means that we leave out the article. When we have a plural noun with a general meaning. For example, dogs are my favorite animal. Dogs, so plural, and I'm referring to dogs in general, not a specific group of dogs. Now, if I was on a farm, for example, and there were chickens and cows and horses and dogs, and someone asked me, what is your favorite animal on the farm? I might say, the dogs are my favorite, because then I'm referring to the specific group of dogs, the specific dogs on the farm, not just dogs in general. So that's a clear distinction. Another example. iPhones are so popular these days. Almost everyone has an iPhone. So in this sentence, I've omitted the article because I'm using the plural, iPhones, and I'm talking about all iPhones, iPhones in general. Then in the second clause, I use the indefinite article an, because iPhone is a singular countable noun, and I'm talking about not a specific iPhone, just iPhones in general. Now this is a clear distinction. With singular countable nouns which are not specific, we use the indefinite article, and an. I have an iPhone. With plurals which are not specific, we use no article. iPhones are very popular these days. Good. And we also omit the article with uncountable nouns, which again refer to something in general, not specific. For example, technology is everywhere these days. This time we omit the article because technology is uncountable and we are talking in general. Not a specific technology, but all technology. Technology in general. Another example, knowledge is power. Knowledge is uncountable. We are talking about knowledge in general, not someone's specific knowledge, so we omit the article. And we also omit the article with many common phrases, which refer to a certain type of place or institution, but not a specific one. This is often confused, so let me explain this now. Okay, some places. We have school, university, hospitals, prison, and church. If I say, I went to university for 4 years to earn my degree, this means I was studying at university. I could even just say, I went to university. With no article, this means that I was using the university for what it is intended, or for what you would expect. That is studying or learning. If, however, I use the definite article, it means something very different. For example, if I said, I went to the university to do some filming today, then I mean that I visited the building. And it would have to be a specific university known to my listener because I've used the definite article. Okay, it's the same thing with school. So I can say, I went to school for 12 years. That means I studied at school. But if we say this, Johnny's parents went to the school to meet the teacher, that means they visited the specific school where Johnny's teachers were, or where Johnny's teacher was. And the same principle is with church and prison and hospital. My friend is in hospital. She's injured or sick. I went to the hospital to visit her. This means I visited the building to see my friend. They go to church every Sunday. I took a picture of the church because it was beautiful. Okay, hopefully you get the idea there. Now we can definitely go deeper with articles, especially with the definite article and no article, but we will really risk information overload if we do this. Instead, I'll give you one last overview on the fundamentals of articles, and then I'll put a lot of information that isn't included in this video with quizzes and tests and some more advanced videos. I'll put that all in a package and I'll give you a link to that because I don't want this video to go for half an hour or an hour. So sometimes less is more, but I will give you more information on articles so that you can thoroughly understand articles. So let's have a look, as I said, at the fundamentals to finish up. A couple of sentences. I like to eat apples. The apples in the box are green. I want to eat an apple. So sentence 1. Why have I used no article? What does this mean? I like to eat apples. Is apples countable? Yes. So we can't use the indefinite article a or an because a or an are only for singular countable nouns 99% of the time. So no article has been used, and we use this for plural nouns with a general meaning. So we're not talking about a specific apple, just apples in general. Then sentence 2. The apples in the box are green. This time we have used a definite article, which means the apples are defined. We are talking about specific apples. The apples in the box are green. Not all apples are green, some are red, but the specific apples, the ones mentioned, are green. Then sentence 3, we said, I want to eat an apple. We have used the indefinite article, which means the apple that I want to eat is not defined. I want to eat any apple, as long as it's not rotten, okay? If there was a bowl of 10 fresh apples on the table, and I say, I want to eat an apple, I'd be happy with any one of the apples. Alrighty, so there you have it, my friends. I hope you found today's grammar lesson helpful. Please remember to give the video a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any of my latest content. Check out the link in the description to the learning package. And most importantly, I wish you all the best with your language goals and life goals. Cheers, everybody.